you mentioned the impressions. What? And I'm probably not going to know any of these people. Scary might know some of these people.
Oh, of course.
Who were you doing at 7 years old? What impressions were you doing?
I was doing Red Skelton.
Oh, cool.
I was doing Jerry Lewis. You know, as a matter of fact, Jerry and I worked together, and you know, we were friends. That goes back quite a while. You know, and Jerry was says, "Hello, I remember when I worked with him at resorts in Atlantic City, and opening night, I come downstairs to my dressing room, and I cannot find my bow tie. So I go to Jerry and I said, "Excuse me, Jerry, I seem to have misplaced my bow tie. Do you possibly have one that I can borrow?" He says, "Does it look like this?" Was my bow tie. I remember at rehearsal. And we had a full orchestra, and I recorded an album. And one of the songs that I did in the show was "Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered." So it just starts off with piano and voice, you know. She's a fool and don't I know it, but a fool has many charms. And then we get into the song and it's strings and I'm wild again. And Jerry's in the audience and he hollers, hold it, and wait." Now, I think I'm doing a good job on it. And he says, "Bobby, your conductor is in your light. Everybody's going to be looking at him. They're not going to be paying attention to you. Move them." So we threw him all the way over to stage left to conduct the orchestra. Because he was right. You know, he's doing all of this behind me, conducting the orchestra. Everybody's eyes are going to be looking at him.
Okay, now thinking back to the times when you did all these shows, and these are historic, monumental to me, because I grew up watching all these guys on TV. Who was your favorite show host? Who was the favorite show that you really looked forward to going to, and it was really, really rewarding for you? Who was the guy or the show host that you like to go to?
Without a doubt, Scary Guy, it was Red Skelton.
Oh, wow.
I remember I was sitting in the audience at rehearsal, and his producer, a guy by the name of Cecil Barker, came up to me. Like I said earlier, he said, "I understand you do one of Red's characters." And I said, "Yes, I do, Clem Kadiddlehopper." He says, "Can I hear it?" And I started going, do, 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 do. Now, Red was to my left, sitting in the audience, and he was rehearsing with the David Rose Orchestra. And he overheard me doing Clem. And he came back at me, and like I said, I was the only guest on Mr. Skelton's show to imitate one of his characters. He was Clem, I was Zeke. And he was special. He was really special. He flew me to his home in Palm Springs.
Wow.
Me and my manager at the time, Frankie Day, and his wife, who Red would call Little Red, she called him Big Red. She says, "Bobby, I can count on one hand the number of people Red has invited out to his house." I was very, very close to him, and I did something like 12 shows with him.
Wow.
So he was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy.
Now, when you did a concert, did you ever do a warm-up concert or a warm-up band concert thing for Sinatra?
No, when I first met him at the Colta, I was 19 years old, and he was sitting at a table with Sammy Kahn, Jimmy Van Heusen, two marvelous lyricist songwriters, Richard Conte, Joe DiMaggio of the New York Yankees, and Sinatra. So Jules Padell, who was like the boss of the Colta, and he talked like this, Jules. So we walk over to the table, and Jules Padell says, "Frank, I want you to meet the kid." And Sinatra stood up with those blue eyes. He put out his hand, shook my hand, and he said, "How you doing, Robert?" called me Robert. I said, fine, Mr. Sinatra. How are you? He says, I'm just wonderful. Would you care to join us? Oh, Sammy Kahn, Jimmy Van Heusen, Richard Conte, Joe DiMaggio, and Sinatra. I said, it'd be my pleasure, Mr. S. I sat down. I was in awe. I didn't say 2 words. I was in awe. I was dumbstruck. Sinatra turned to me a couple of minutes and he said, what do you drink, Robert? And I said, Coke. I figured if I said Scotch and water, I get smacked in the face. You know? But he was wonderful. I mean, he took pictures with my manager, my dad. I've got one with him that's precious. He's got, I think, his left arm around me, under his right arm. He has my album, Rydell at the Copa. And he signs it, to Bobby, best always, your friend, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah, very cool.